Always want to hear that.
Yeah, that was me. I turned the recording on.
I'll just sort of keep an eye on the waiting room here for a couple minutes.
All right. I'm just gonna sit here and let people in.
Okay.
That's what I will do.
All right, that'll be fabulous. And I'm going to ask you to moderate the chat like you did last time.
Yeah, you got it.
And we'll give everybody just a few minutes. I'm operating on a different computer today, so all sorts of tech challenges this afternoon.
It'd be great if there was a way to just automatically admit everybody, no matter what.
Oh, you can turn the waiting room off. Poof, I just made that happen.
Well, all right.
When you set it up, just don't turn the waiting room on.
Okay.
I don't like that. I like to be in there first and get everything set up, but you can't set it up that way. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Let's see, we've got some people in here. It looks like just about everybody's mostly muted. And I'll give it just another minute and then I will start. And actually what I am going to do in the chat, I am going to put sort of an outline of what we're going to cover today. This is just an outline that I'm putting in. I tend to think in terms of outlines. I was always the type of learner that if I heard a phrase or something, it sort of jarred my memory about where I was supposed to go next. So I like to just include this. All right, Tom, I'm going to put you in charge of the waiting room as people start to come in a little bit after the hour. I'm going to leave my camera off today. It just makes a better video quality recording that I can send out to you all after this call. If you joined us 2 weeks ago, we had a little bit of technical difficulty. We were using a different Zoom platform, which sort of cut off unexpectedly on us. So we just decided to use an old-fashioned Zoom this week. Can you all see my screen okay? It should be a HubSpot account. Tom, can you see my screen?
Let's see.
Yes. Thank you, Dan, for raising your hand.
I can't see it. Oh, yeah, I see it. I got it.
Right. So what we're going to be talking about today, it's sort of one of those features, Reporting 101, where a lot of people get all their data in and they're really excited to get their data in. But I always tend to think that the data is sort of useless unless you can pull it out and get some useful information about it. So I always tell people when they want to start reporting, start with something just really easy. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you a common example. In fact, this is an example that I use for the next training series, which we're trying to do every Wednesday from 4:30. I'm sorry, from 4 to 4:30. We booked this one a little longer today. Every Wednesday, and Tom will be sending out those signups for the remaining ones. But the next one's really going to deal with, I think Reporting 102 is next, which is more about custom reports and multiple objects. But we will do one eventually on just cleaning up your HubSpot account and really having some data hygiene. And I always like to start by doing that with just this first really simple report. So a lot of people, when they start reporting, one of the kind of overwhelming things I think they do is they jump right to the reporting module. And by the way, I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, the new format, you notice they've given you an option now to switch back. So until May 28th, I'm going to stay with this view, but of course I can switch it and go back. If you're looking for how to change back to this view temporarily, although I don't really recommend it, you'll have an option in here that tells you can switch back.
Turn my camera off.
All right. So with that said, everything I'm about to tell you really applies to anywhere that you have this, what we refer to as the index view. If you're ever in some of the knowledge base, they may refer to this view. I tend to think of it as a list view. But everything I'm going to show you applies to contacts, companies, deals, tickets, anything where you get this sort of view. So what I like to look for when I'm looking for a particular list, and in this example, I'm going to be looking for contacts who are missing emails. So you'll notice you have these tabs across here, and these are referred to as your views. So right here, these are all the contacts in this account. These are my particular contacts. These are any contacts that are unassigned. And then Tom added this BRE contact view. You can see here, you can have up to 50 of these views. Keep in mind, you're only going to be able to see so many on a screen. Of course, you can add all the way up to 50. What's nice about them is that you can just flip sort of from view to view, depending if you just have multiple lists that you're using over and over. What I want to do is I'm going to take this list and turn it into a report. So to do that, today I'm just going to start with a new view. And what I'm looking for are contacts who are missing an email. So sometimes maybe if you have an intern or you have a lot of free time, which I'm sure that doesn't happen, but maybe you want to go back and track down some of those email addresses, because we know email addresses are really everything in HubSpot. It keeps a contact from deduplicating, and it's also the main way you're going to reach out for marketing purposes. So with that said, what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go to Add View. And down here in the corner, it's going to say Create New View. And I have the options here to name it. I'm going to say Contacts Missing Email.
A lot of confidence in myself right now.
And then I get to decide whether I want to share it with everyone on my team, or do I just want to keep it private so that only I can view it. I'm going to share it with everyone. Okay, so now this just looks like a duplication of all the contacts. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply an advanced filter that'll narrow it down. So again, I can sort here. These are just sort of some built-in filters that come with it. But of course, I'm going to add an advanced filter. And I know I'm looking for email. Maybe this is like lead status, or, you can see any property that you have is available in here. So I'm going to pull up email, and I'm going to say email for my dropdown is unknown. Now, what you may notice here too is that these filters can get really advanced. I can go in here and say, this email is unknown and it was created after this date, and then I can add a whole new set of filters.
I could get offensive. Please tell me.
Okay.
I know.
I would sort of start with a basic, maybe one filter to start with, and then as you get comfortable, add those on. So I'm going to say is unknown, and you can see it's automatically returned and said 75 records are unknown. The email is unknown. So now this is one of my views that I can just sort of go in and regularly check on. Now, ideally, if I'm working on this in the background, I'd want to pull this up and edit each one of these, and that would be great. But if I want to pull this into a report and then later see it, and keep in mind, this could be anything. I'm just using this as sort of a basic example to get you started. But basically what you do to do that is I can go into all views, and these are all the different views that are created and available. And I see mine here that I created. And you'll notice that too with owner. One of the options under here, renaming, obviously, deleting if I don't ever need, Manage sharing, this would be where I go in and I decide, all right, I just want to make this private. Maybe I want to make a copy of it, but just tweak one of the filters on it. But this is really what I want to get to for today's purposes, and this is creating a report. So what it's going to do is it just sort of removed it from that context index view and really took you over to the reporting module. So this is where we're actually getting into reports. Now, just sort of working across here, I always like to point this out because sometimes people will say, well, how do I change the name? You click on the pencil, and I'm going to say this is contacts, missing emails, and that's done. Now, you'll notice on the other screen, I had 75 results. And on your handout, if you're looking at that, you'll notice that one of the things I have in bold is always check this filter when you come into the reporting module. The default is create date is this quarter so far. None of those contacts were created this far. So what I want to do is change that create date. You get a lot of options under here, but the one I want is all time, because any contact that's been entered ever, that's what I want to look at. Okay, so now I see my original list and this looks a lot better. I'm going to hide the filters. You can see at this point, these are all the properties that I had listed on my original index view, but I could go in here and add more. And you can just simply search for something and pull it up and add it. If I want to change the order of the columns, I can drop and drag these. All right, so we're on the data tab. And what happens on the data tab? This is sort of the boring tab to me. It's sort of a boring necessity though. This is where we're lining up all the different properties. We've got a filter applied. Now what we're going to do is get into the visualization, because that's what everybody wants to see in reporting. So I flip to the visualization tab. Now I'm going to go back because I just want to talk about the order I did that. Worked across, went here, sort of went down the side here. This was all fine. And now I'm working across. So that's just sort of how I tackle these when I jump in. So now you can see we're displaying life cycle stage and count of contacts. Now there is a whole science between choosing a chart type. And honestly, when you're just starting, I think the best thing to do is just sort of hit each of these. And it depends what you're looking for. If this were on a data dashboard, I probably don't care about what their life cycle stage is. I'm probably more interested in just having a scorecard. So this is still telling me that, but I'm going to remove life cycle stage, and it's going to give me this count of contacts. Now that's my total of all time. And I need to go back and tell it, I need to apply a filter here that says email is unknown. And I'm going to apply that one again. And that's brought me to my real number. And of course, you can change this and change anything to displaying. But again, I think sometimes it's just helpful to go through. Now, this one, you know, when you're looking at, we call this a summary, or some people refer to it as a scorecard. When you're doing this, that's good if you only have really one property displaying. If I want something like this, I'm probably going to need lead status so it can break it up. But of course, it could be anything. Maybe it's by contact owner. Like maybe you want to find out who is the guilty party at your organization who is not capturing email addresses. So maybe that's something you do. But for my purposes, I just want the scorecard. So it's in here. This is great. I'm going to save it. And I can give it a description. And then if I need a little bit more, but I also can go in here and it's going to give me the option to add it to a dashboard. I'm going to say for right now, just ask it not to add it to a dashboard. And I'll show you where we're going to go with that. And I'm going to say everyone can, maybe I only want them to view only. I used to work in an IT office where there were a lot of fights that I had to break up over someone going in and changing someone's report. If someone else has created a report and you know you're going to make some modifications to it, it's probably a good idea to clone that report and make your modifications and save it. So now I've got it saved. All right, so with all of that said, I started that from the contacts page, but I want to show you another way too. So let's say I'm back here, I've logged in, I'm on this page. And that's where, of course, I created it from here. Now what I want to do is talk about how do you do this if you're doing it from the reporting tab. So obviously you go to reporting and reports, and I'm going to go to my reports. Now, the great thing about reports is a lot of times you'll see there's a lot of great templates in here. There's some custom reports. What are the ones on the dashboards, but I'm going to just create a brand new one. And the very first thing it's going to do is it's going to say, you know, we want to create this from scratch. In this example, I'm going to pick a single object. And really what it means by a single object is I am just looking for information about contacts. If I was looking about something maybe about companies and deals, that might be where I use a custom report building because that's combining two different objects. But in this example, I'm just starting with a single object. And I'm going to choose the object. And so now we're kind of broken into this just very basic. So to use the same example, what I'm going to do is say, find a property, and I'm going to check that filter. And of course it says, again, that default create date is so far. I'm going to say update the filter. And then I'm going to go back. I'm going to hide this filter. And I'm going to say, I want to see a contact's name. And I think it's going to make me say, let's say, and you have all of these options here. I'm going to say, show me the last name. And let's go in and add first name. And then I'm also going to add email. And I just want a simple email one. All right. And again, I can drop and drag these in the order that I want. So now maybe this is when I want to go in and say, give me another filter. And I'm going to say email is unknown. And this brings me back to my 75 that I had before. So the exact same thing. So just a different way. I've built the exact same report, but just a different way of looking at it. Of course, this is the data side of it. I take it into the visualization, and I'm going to use my scorecard again. And it's going to say we need a count. I want to display count of contacts. And I will say that's one of the things where I like starting from the contacts view a little better, because it will fill in some of this for you. And I think it's just an easier place to start. So now I'm in the exact same place. So again, let's say I've got this saved. And now what do you, yeah, go ahead. Do we have a question? All right. Tom, are you keeping an eye on the chat for me?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I thought I heard somebody ask something, but maybe not.
Oh, I see. Dan had a question. Is this not available on all HubSpot? This is not available on all HubSpot packages, correct?
Yeah, you have to have one license of so there are hubs, okay, that you subscribe to. I think there are 5 or 6 hubs. One hub has to be professional or enterprise. So it would be sales professional, service professional, marketing professional. When you do that, custom reporting gets lit up. And a good time to move up in a license is when your software renews with HubSpot. They just changed their pricing model. So it's not as expensive as it used to be to get a higher license level. It's the easiest way to say it.
Okay. And so once I've got this report, you'll notice I have an actions button here. And again, I can go in and sort of run through these. The share this report is new, of course, changing that access, changing the owner, and adding to a dashboard. So basically what a dashboard is, and we go more into this in the second series on reporting, but if we go to the dashboards, dashboards are basically just collections of reports. A lot of times people want to just log into one space and see everything in one screenshot. So for example, I have one where we do a data cleanup, one in another account. And so what you can do here is you could say create dashboard, and it's just going to be a new dashboard. And then I'm going to make it available to everyone on this account. I'm going to call it data cleanup. And I'm going to create that dashboard. When I go to it, you'll see it gives me the option here to add a report. And so I'm going to say, go in and grab this one. And so one of the new things that's really exciting.
What?
I'm sorry.
What'd you tell her?
So in this case, of course, you can go in and add filters. What's really nice about these is like sometimes maybe you're doing something by owner and you create this dashboard and you've got multiple reports where you've just got, you know, all your owners or all the projects that may be assigned to someone, and you've got all the owners of those projects. You can actually go in and apply a filter to the whole page, and that will just pull out information for that person. And of course, anytime you want to change the report, you can hit the customize button at the bottom, and that brings you back to this original screen where we were with the data and visualization options. The templates I just want to show you because I think they are really interesting. And honestly, when I very first got into reporting a long time ago, this is where I sort of would go. I'd go to create report. And then once you determine that, you know, you want some single objects, you can sort of log through and look at the templates. And these will populate with your information. But you might see something in here and you say, all right, this is really close to what I want. You could open this up and then modify the filters or modify the properties. And that may give you exactly what you're looking for. Has anybody on the call started working with these yet?
We've got a quiet group here, Melanie.
We may have scared them.
Right.
One of the other things too, and this is on my dashboards, is let's go back to that. When I go into reporting dashboards, and I'm going to go to my managing my dashboards. Okay, I've got my data cleanup here. One thing that's always nice about these is you can star them, which will sort of bring them to the top of your list. So I'm going to star this. And then the other thing I can do too is if I need to add something to it, and again, I'm just going to create this. I didn't really save it. And so, of course, I can add a report. It gives you a couple options to do that. And I'm going to say I want this one in it. And so
There are also some good courses in the HubSpot Academy that you can take and even get certifications in HubSpot reporting.
And so this is just showing like a KPI, a donut. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my dashboard and just look at it in the list. And I've got my data example. And I want to manage it. And so again, I can go in, I can get some details, I can set as my default so that it's the one that opens up every time. And then basically you keep adding reports to it until you get something maybe that looks like this. What I love about this is you can actually go in and add text if you want to. So I could just say this is a test. You can go down here and you can add images, you can insert a link, all sorts of formatting options here. Maybe you want to insert a video. What a lot of people will use this for is maybe to put the sort of a title in or some information about it. I can drop and drag these around. I can grab them by the corner and shrink it up so that it's only taking up one square or a couple squares here. You can just move these. It's really very friendly. And these are all the options you have here. Of course, you can share it with other users, or you can email this dashboard. I believe it's going to come over as a PDF when you do that, or you can copy the URL and send it to another HubSpot user. But again, you know, the purpose of these is really to be able to log in and just get at one glance an idea of exactly what's going on everywhere. If you need to see more in depth, you can just click into the report and it'll actually take you to the report. I'm in sort of a working mode here. There we go. And so you get sort of a drill down. Tom and I, we sort of talk all the time about exporting, you know, the data out of HubSpot and putting it into another maybe reporting platform. But the downside of that to me is a lot of times when you do that, you lose this drill down capability. Okay, any questions?
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to put this recording, we have to download it and then upload it somewhere. So I'll post it on LinkedIn. So if, you know, maybe make sure you're connected to me on LinkedIn. Also, look for HubSpot for Economic Developers as a group in LinkedIn. I'll post it there as well. So we're trying to post a lot more content on LinkedIn that's helpful to everyone. So yeah, I guess if there are no questions, thanks everyone for your time, and hopefully this quick tutorial was helpful. The biggest things I would say is, you know, start at the beginning like Melanie showed you. Maybe look at company or contact records. Think of it as the Excel sort of view or the list, and learn how to use those filters and the saved views. Once you've mastered that, then you go to HubSpot Reporting for what's called a single object. And an object would be the type of record. So contacts. Once you've mastered that, then you can go to the next level of complexity, kind of level 3, where you're mixing contact data with company data on a report, maybe a project, a loan, a grant, an incentive, or anything like that. There you go, custom report builder. And that is, it's because you're combining more objects, it's a lot more complex. You have to really think through those. At least I do. Melanie does it. She just does it. But for the rest of us.
But again, I think sometimes what I end up even doing is, you know, I can sort of cheat and look at the templates that become available, and that helps you really sort of call it almost reverse engineering, where you're looking at it saying, oh yeah, this is almost what I need. I need to alter this one thing. So I think sometimes that's, even with single object reporting, looking at those templates, I think sometimes is a good way to sort of baby step into it.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Appreciate you hopping on today, and we'll let you get back to it. Thanks again.
Thank you.